Brothers killing brothers, sisters dissing each other. Children dated, split siblings now missing each other. From secret societies you removed all the covers. Abused cause some choose to be ID'd by color. Negro and black, or claim a fiction on the map. Thought power is wasted on the idol god crap. Nuisance solutions, following illusions. We are old world orders but we scared of new ones. Some stuck on stupid and being humans. Some hoping Cupid would find her a new man. Sis, it will never be him, only you can. Find the one's nose that won't go like Pinocchio or Toucan. Once you think you can't, you probably won't. Might as well be hanging on a Klansman rope. Might as well jump in the coffin to get shipped up north to Canaan land, hoping someone opened the casket doors. As soon as it opened, they got a cross in your face between two slices of bread, pig marrow paste, sugar down, purple stuff, limbs hurt enough. Not free from slavery, but you doing dirt for hurting cuffs.
For the record, we in the club. We all brothers and sisters, so we in the club. But we all members of Moor Side Temple. We got this going on. And no, that's not what this movement is about. This is a national movement. The nation is out there. The only reason you're here is your job is to go redeem them.
Islam, and welcome to MHHS Eyes Wide Open. This is your host, Anita L., along with my co-host, Ms. Rain Olive L.
Peace and love, Anna E. Peace and love, Moors worldwide. It is definitely great to be back today.
All right, peace and love. And
Yes.
also we have Ras Mariah Bay.
Islam, peace and love to all.
All right. We do not have Cujo tonight, but he will be listening. So let us get started. All right. So before we get started, we have an announcement that we would like to make, and it is for the sisters. We would like to have our first National Standing on Law Live in the Flesh conference meeting together, get together. And we were wondering how many sisters would be interested in participating in it. It would be just a one-day get-together for sisters across the nation. So we were wondering how. You said something?
No, I said it's a conference. You know, it's not a get-together party type thing.
Conference. One-day conference, seminar, get-together. And we were wondering how many sisters would be interested in something like that. If you are interested, please send an email to MHHS Eyes Wide Open @gmail.com. In the subject line, put Sister Standing on Law. And just let us know if
tell them to put Sister Standing on Law conference.
Or you can just put Sister Standing on Law conference. Yes, Sister Standing on Law conference. Put that in the subject line and just let us know. Because our intent is to have this get together somewhere around March 21st, the new year. And so we want to know how many sisters are interested in coming out. We're looking at an area that would be somewhere in this city. So how many sisters would be interested in coming out for a one-day conference? Just sisters. So please send an email to MHHS Eyes Wide Open @gmail.com, and in the subject line put Sister Conference. All righty. So that is the one announcement. The other announcement is tomorrow is the second Wednesday of the new month, and we will be at the National Theater tomorrow as well as next Wednesday And let's see. I think that are all the announcements. I can't remember. I can't think of anything else. But if I remember, of course, I will make the announcement. Chad. Came about because I got up this morning and I read almost the entire the entire Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood. Let me make sure I got the right title. The Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East. I read almost the entire book, reading it, and I was reading it and I was thinking, this is talking about, the Holy Koran, Circle 7, Chapter 1. So I said, this is something that you talked about. So the broadcast is entitled, Without a Foe, a Soldier Never Knows His Strength and Thought Must Be Developed by the Exercise of Strength. This is a direct quote right out of the Circle 7 Holy Koran, Chapter 1, read by Prophet Nova Ali. And it says, and so this carnal nature soon became a foe that man must fight, that he might be the strength of Allah made manifest. So it's telling you that there's some things you're going to have to go through to strengthen yourself, and you're not going to be able to do that unless you have a foe. So the what I wrote next for our syllabus is there are lessons to learn. And this is why we are here, to learn to master the life in order to overcome the sin of forgetfulness. So see, that's the other thing I got out of reading this. People, they in these religious circles, they say, oh, that's a sin. But what exactly is the sin? Because you're perfect. So what exactly could the perfect being have done that would be classified as sin? And the only thing that it is really forgetfulness and all forms of forgetfulness. You've begun to overcome. Many of us haven't. Do you think the foe that you have manifested in order to develop the various strengths, or do you run here and there in order to avoid, therefore succumbing to all sorts of processes? Because that's what's happening. Look, you're here to experience certain things. It's telling you right in chapter 1 of the Quran. You're here to experience certain things. They may be pleasant, they may be bottom line is, without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength. So you're going to have some foes. So stop trying to avoid them. Stop running down these various different, hey, this is the latest, get out of Dodge process. Oh, if I do this, they'll never bother me again. Let me do this, and they won't be able to see me. They won't be able to touch me. Look, if you're in this particular dimension, you're here to experience foes that you're trying to avoid. Because that's the only way that you're going to be strengthened. Mm-hmm. That's why it says, so this carnal nature soon became a foe that man must fight, that he might be the strength of Allah made manifest. So I wanted to read what you need to do. If you haven't already read The Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East, you need to read it again in conjunction with chapter 1 of the Holy Koran. Because it's basically telling you, why you're here. what you're going to face. And, and hey, you may not like it, but you're going to have to overcome it. And that's how you get strong. So if you're here, you have some things to learn. You're not here because you're some special being. You're here because you are a special being, but you're here to learn. All right, so I'm gonna read chapter 9. I read the whole thing and I went back and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I want to find out. All of these are just lessons waiting for us to read and decipher and absorb, and they're all great. All of the ancient writings, they're all great. So it was kind of challenging for me to find just one, but the one I picked, I said, oh, yeah, this would be a great one, this one right here. And when I looked at the number of the chapter, it was chapter 9. So I was like, okay, well, this is the right one. So I'm going to read it. But like I'm saying, you ought to get the book and read it. Don't over again, because it will begin to speak to you, or at least your spirit will begin to speak to you. So I'm going to read it, and then we'll talk about it. So chapter 9 is entitled Opening Address of Yahshua with the 7 Stages, 7-Day Silence. Ashbina said, Assyria is the land of doubt, the chariot of my people, that in which they mostly ride with labeled doubt. In Babylon, and she was bright and fair, but she was clothed in such white robes that men became afraid of her. And every wheel began to turn, and doubt made war on her and drove her from the land, and she came back no more. In form, man worships Allah, the One. In heart, they are not sure that Allah exists. Faith worships at the temple of one not seen, but doubt must see her God. The greatest need of all Syria is faith, a faith that seasons everything that is with certainty. And then Apollo said, the greatest needs of Greece are true conceptions of Allah the One. In Greece, it is rudderless, for every thought may be a God to worship as Allah. The plane of thought is broad and full of sharp antagonists, and so the circle of the gods is filled with enmity, with wars and base intrigue. Greece needs a mastermind to stand above the gods, the mind of men away from many gods to Allah the One. We know the light is coming over the hills. Allah be the light. Mathino said, behold, this light of Egypt of the day. Our temples long have been the tombs of hidden things of time. Our temple crypts and caves are dark. In light there is no secret thing. The sun reveals all hidden truths. There are no mysteries in Allah. Behold the rising sun, hid of the mystic crypt of Mizraim. We hail the light. All Egypt craves the light. And Philo said, the need of Hebrew thought and life is liberty. The Hebrew prophets, seers, and givers of the law were men of power, men of holy thought, and they bequeathed to us a system of love that was ideal. One strong enough carnal mind repudiated this law of love and filled the minds with selfishness, and purity in heart became amiss. The people were enslaved. But when he comes, who is to come, he will proclaim emancipation for the slave. My people will be free. Behold, for Allah has made incarnate wisdom, love, and light, which he called Emmanuel. To him is given the key to open up the dawn. And here as man, he walked with us. And then the council chamber door was opened, and the Logos stood among the sages of the world. Again, the sages sat in silence 7 days. You have to read this entire book. If you truly read it with an open heart, you will receive and hear exactly what is being said. I can tell you what it speaks to me instead, but this that I heard was for me. Just like in the Matrix. This lesson that I got, this conversation that I had, it was for me. So to share it with someone else is not going to help you because your lesson is not my lesson. What you're going to hear is not what I am going to hear. But if you read it with an open heart, it will speak to you exactly where you are and what you see. And amazing, this is exactly why Prophet Nawuju Ali brought it to us, so that we can read these things that he left for us and free our minds, our hearts, and our soul. What are we freeing it from? At least in this particular chapter, it's doubt. Because many more doubt. They've been mentally conditioned to believe that if I can't see it, if I can't hear it, if I can't touch, taste, or feel it, it doesn't exist. Man, it's mine. You can't see, touch, taste, feel, or hear the mind of man, but it absolutely exists. It's how everything is manifested. So we definitely have to get out of, this mental place where we're trapping ourselves because of lack of knowledge, lack of information, and that was part of the mission of Prophet Nawuju Ali to bring us, showed me that you're going to hear, you have to read this because there's Yahshua goes through several temptations. And when you read the temptations that he went through, if you reflect on yourself and your life, you will see that you have gone through similar temptations, how many you failed. It is just for you to focus on that you now see, hey, this was a temptation that visited me. This was the fall. And I didn't even recognize it was a fall. But now I realize it's a fall. I'm going to be better prepared the next time because there will be a next time. Because he was tempted several times. So there will be a next time so that you can do better. But when you get that foe, when that foe approaches the next time, and whatever, don't be afraid and run away, and don't try to avoid it because it's just going to come back again. Be prepared for it because there is no need to doubt, right? That's what it's telling you. There is no need to doubt. Everything is a manifestation of the mind. And then it affirms that in here. It says that everything is a manifestation of the mind. So if you have a foe that is visiting you, it is only because you can manifest the overcoming of the foe. That is the strengthening. Not a physical strengthening. The strengthening is to take back control of your mind, not your physical form. The physical form is a manifestation of the mind as well. So the foe that you need to what the foe has manifested. So,
but the forgetfulness makes them forget that they manifested it. The forgetfulness is what makes them forget they manifested it from another time, and that they're here now to deal with that same foe. Because, as you said earlier, without a foe, you'll never know your strength.
Exactly.
You are also talking
exactly.
Right.
And that is the sin. Don't let anybody tell you because you had sex with somebody and you were born that that's the sin. That's not the sin. The sin is that you forgot. You forgot that you created all of this. That's sin. So don't sin anymore. Don't get mad when the foe you manifested to strengthen your mind and help you remember showed up.
On the scene. Like, yeah. That's interesting.
I use the floor with that one.
Well, can I ask you, you were reading 9. And so now what we're talking about here, some people are like, oh my God, I said to going to church. It's interesting. We forgot so much that, and like in chapter 8 before that, called the Council of the Seven of the World. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says that it says here, this is number 10, the garments that our fathers wore have given out. The cherubim have woven a celestial cloth and have placed it in our hands, and we must make for men new guards. The sons of men are looking up for greater light. No longer do they care for the gods that are hewn out of wood. They seek for Allah, not made with hands. All right? Now, it's interesting because everyone is like putting down quote-unquote religion without knowing what it really is, to the point where when you're really talking about binding back the real deal, they've been made to throw the baby out with the bathwater, or they've made to throw it away because that whole thing of religion is so misconstrued purposely, for a number of reasons, but it's so misconstrued. And what we're talking about here is really talking about, as you say, manifestation of the mind, because man is mind, and when he loses his guard, meaning what you call when he dies, goes on to the soul plane and fights the foes there too, because the whole point is to strengthen the mind, the body, and the mind and the soul, which of course to follow. Free your mind and your assets will follow, right? So that whole thing is to do that. When you come down here on this earth plane, this green soil, you're here for the experience and the lessons and the food to strengthen you. Period. It's not the end or it's not the be all and end all just to be here on this earth plane. I mean, if that were the truth, you know what I mean? That's not the truth. That really isn't the truth. But you could never understand that it isn't the truth. If you believe that man is mind, then you would certainly get that it isn't the truth. But if you don't know that man is mind, right, and you manifest from the seed that's planted, which is the thought, then you'll get caught up in this and coming back. You know what I'm saying? And then and keep being disappointed at yourself, it appears, because of the not understanding this. So I brought this to the table as well here, went back to chapter 8, because in it definitely affirms what a lot of people feel. Oh, I don't want to deal with this and I don't want to deal with that. Of all of these buildings, temples, buildings, churches, any institution that is an actual building, all of them only simulate that which is true in nature. That which they only simulate as a representation of the real. So when you're looking at these times that we're in now, the sons of men are looking up for greater light. No longer do they care for gods that are hewn out of wood. They seek for Allah that is not made with hands. That means it's not physical, right? They see the beams of coming days, and yet they comprehend these beams. That means beams of light. They comprehend them not. But the time is right, and we must unwear these garments for the race, okay? And let us make for men new garbs of justice, of mercy, and love. that they might hide their nakedness when shines the light of the coming days. Because it's coming. And that's why a lot of people are having a lot of things happen. They're being exposed. It's like we said before, let them expose themselves so you can know who is who and what is what, And then it goes on to say that the priest, now that's for all of you who are in churches, been in churches, or all of you who want to rebuke the church today because of your misunderstanding of what religion really is. Because, there's a whole a confoundness that has occurred to keep you confused in regards to the truth about religion, because it brings us straight back to your Creator, and it actually brings you back to the feminine aspect, that we or creating energy, or the one who truly builds the temple body, or the body temple. And so, therefore, it's been confounded for you not to get back to that. But so for all who have, got to understand that the priests have all gone mad. That's what you see right now. That's what people say. They saw a demon in the wild, and at them they cast their lamps, and they are broken up. Their lamps are broken up because it's not the real light. So I'm saying it's all a mock and a representation of the true light, all right? Because the truth is the light. Light brings you to the dawning of your awareness, and the awareness sets you free. So that's your awareness. Like Sister Annie was saying, these lessons are for you at your time and place and pace. So the lights that the priests are holding up to these demons in the wild are not work. They don't work. So there's not a gleam of light that any of the priests have for men. Now, I'm not saying this because it's written in here, just because it's written in here, but it's the truth, because no one gets any light from their quote-unquote dogmatic religion that they have that they think is real realignment. It's not. So everybody's calling for light, which is true. But yet the priesthoods that you're dealing with, they just listen up. It's true because everybody says it. They cannot be ready dead. Their greatest needs are graves and funeral tents. This new age calls for what? Liberty. The kind that makes each man a priest of himself, enables him to go alone and lay his offering. So everybody's walking in fear. They do the good for fear to do the wrong. But how are you going to do the good for fear to do the wrong and something be wrong with that? There can't be anything wrong with doing the good, but doing the good for fear to do the wrong. So what is what and who to? What is the good and what is the wrong? Because remember, it says that the whole confoundness will be to make evil, that which is evil, seem fair. And let us face it, that's where we're at today. Because we, even in dealing in law, which we stand on law, right? Length ain't going with. People don't know what law is. And we were just having a conversation today. Someone sent me an email. I got to get back with them, and I haven't yet. That said, I've been studying, and I know constitutional law and UCC law. I'm like, what the heavens is UCC law? UCC is code. That's not law. So, but, from that position, they think they got it. They got that. There's no such thing as UCC law. Uniform commercial codes are not law. All right? So, again, when you mentioned earlier, and we want to get into that, you said running away, therefore succumbing yourself to processes. And everybody's got processes, clear and be that which they already are, through the liberty of life and existence. They're going to do a process. Like, if I do this, it'll keep them off of me. No, that's not how that works. You need to watch the movie Lincoln the Vampire Hunter. Watch it. It doesn't work like that, okay? So it goes, if I may continue with this, the devil, here it is, because they say it all the time. Oh, the devil made me do it. Now, you know, as the more you know, there's no such thing as the devil. It's only your lower self. Now, you know this to be true. So if you're looking for the devil, look within. If you're looking for your Savior, look within. Don't go look at other people. Look within yourself, because that's where your Savior is, and that's where your devil is. So here's the word that was left regarding the devil. It says the devil is the greatest power in our land, and although the devil is a myth, seems to dangle on his knees both the young and the old. That's what's happening. It's a myth. So right there, that one statement right there tells you it's all a myth, right? The land is dark, and that is where evil prospers in the dark. Now, I like that statement. Our land is dark, and evil prospers in the dark. Because if you're in the dark and you don't know, and you don't have that light of truth shining, then, of course, you're not in your higher self. So, lower self, because that's the devil's lower self, is going, or lower self activity, which you ought to be able to identify with lower self activity, because it's all that harm, murders, theft, things, and all that harms. In the 101, it tells you what it is. All right, so evil prospers in the dark because there's no higher light. There's no light. So if everything is in the dark, right, and it's in the dark because it says that the devil is the greatest power in the land, and although the devil is a myth, he dandles both the young and the old. Wait a minute. So the land is filled with lower self and darkness? That means not the marvelous light that you need to be brought into. Now, that statement is also in, I believe, Message to America. It says, you know, all the other people will be glad to see you, Moors, come into the marvelous light. You know, it all ties in, all right? So fear is riding on every passing breeze, and it lurks in every form of life. The fear of evil is a myth. It's an illusion, and it's a snare, but it will live until some power, mighty power, comes to raise the ethers to the plane of what? Light. And this will come, and when it does, glory, the Lamb will glory in the light. Because remember, this whole thing, even for those who are into reading other scriptures, it says that, you know, I will heal their land. You know, so the land is in darkness. So, and there's one other, I mean, because, you know, but you're bringing this up. There's one other chapter, and I think I want to say this, and then I'll yield, and we can move on to talk about some of these, because it's what we're doing, processes instead of confronting this situation. When it talks in chapter 5, chapter 4. Let me just make sure I have the right chapter. Let's see. Hold on a moment here. I think I'm getting a Secret Brotherhood of the East, chapter 8 is what I just read. We've read it before. Chapter 8, Council of the Seven of the World. That's right before chapter 9 that was read already. That's a powerful one. But this one is as well, and this one is one of all of them are favorites, but it says here, chapter 4, another great one. It says Yahshua talks with the rabbi of the Ten Commandments. Okay, now check this out. I'm not going to read the whole thing because, as Anthony said, you need to read it yourself and get your lesson. However, in here it says because Yahshua is talking with the rabbi Barakia, Barakia, pronunciation. And the rabbi says to Yahshua, gee, man, because he's running, Yahshua is running it down, right? Running it down. He's defending the honor of his mother and father for sure. And because remember, his mother and father said to come down to this earth plane and to be fruitful, to multiply, have fun, eat of the trees. Make sure, know that you don't have to chase your food, that the trees will bear your meat. for you to eat. Replenish this earth plane, this green pasture. He didn't say to come down here and do all this other stuff. So that's why he's ferocious in his honoring of his mother and his father and his mother's mother and father instructions, which enjoy the earth and replenish it. So he's running it down to Barakia, and this is chapter 4 that I'm in, and then and verse 8 here. And so Barakia said, Dad, your words, he said this to Yeshua, your words are seasoned with the salt of wisdom that is from above. Who is the teacher who has opened up this truth to you? And then Yeshua said, I do not know any teacher that's opened up this truth for me. It seems to me the truth was never shut up, that it was always opened up. For truth is one, and it is everywhere. Now, let me just say, this is why I see him Bay in his lesson said, the truth does not change nor pass away. He emphasized that. And he also said that the valuable stones come in small books. So Yahshua was saying, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, he says, the truth is one, and it's everywhere. So then he says, and if Yahshua continues, he says, now if we open up the windows of our minds, the truth will enter in and make herself at home. For truth can find her way through any crevice, any window, and any open door. So then the rabbi says, well, what hand is strong enough to open up the windows and the doors of our minds so the truth can enter in? Let's put a pin in that. So if he just told you to open up your mind, that's what he said, then let the truth come in and make herself at home. And then the question is, well, how do we open up our minds? That only tells you the state of mind we're in to not know how to open up our mind to let truth come in and make herself at home. That's what it's saying. So then Yasha's like, oh, okay, well, you want to, they're like, what hand's strong enough to open up the windows and the doors of our minds so truth can enter? He says, well, it seems to me that love, the golden cord that binds the commands in one, is strong enough to open any human door so that truth can enter in and cause the heart to understand. So now we go back to the first principle, which is love. So if you're not dealing in that first principle, love, you're not going to get to truth. They go hand in hand. And if you don't have love and truth, you're not going to have peace. And if you don't have love, truth, and peace, you're not going to have freedom, which is an inherent chaser to all of that. And then justice is done. That's the 5 principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. But love is the first principle. So that ties into that lesson that love is the first principle. The first thing is to open up your mind if you to allow truth to come in and make itself at home. That's what it says. It says, I do not know any teacher. You know, you have mentors, of course, and you honor them, of course, and their guidance, of course. But as far as when someone's speaking truth, it doesn't change. It doesn't pass away. It belongs not to any one person. It is what it is because it doesn't change. It does not pass away. All right? And it does not require any apologies either for truth. So when it comes to that, regardless of who may be passing it on, there's a guide or the teacher. And as you know, the teacher appears when the student is ready, because you, the student, become the teacher. That's what that means. So he said, look, I don't know any teacher that opened up. It was never shut. I love that. It was never shut. Seeking you shall find. Ask, or, you know, ASK is the acronym for the word ask. A means ask, and you shall receive. S means seek, and you surely shall find. And knock, and K means knock, and the door will open if you knock. That's why they do all these simulations of things in secret societies and stuff like that. How do you knock? How many times do you knock? All this kind of stuff like that. They're simulating. And one of the main things that I see them simulating is, and it's always there in the first degrees, going into mother and son orders, Masonic orders like that, keeping the secret. You know, the one about Hiram, how they hit him. No, really about, they're simulating harm, getting hit in the head. Well, here's the deal. They're asking the guy, they're building, they're helping with the temple building. And they're saying, what's the secret of the temple building? Now, you and I know the temple is the body. So they want to know the secret of the womb. That's what they're really asking. Let's get real with it. That's what they're asking. And in the depiction of brothers, this guy says, well, look, I can't tell you. Wait until it's done. That means wait until it's birthed. Wait until it comes out. And then you'll see this, you'll know. And they're like, no, you got to tell us the secret of the building of the temple now. If you don't tell us now, we're going to kill you. That's the third person. It's 1, 2, 3. You don't tell us, we surely shall kill you for not giving up the secret. Like, that's the third guy is like, okay, the other two ask you in a certain way. They ask you kind of nicely. We want to know the secrets of the temple, of the building of the temple. That's what we want to know. And, they asked nice, considering that the third guy said, get it. If you don't tell them, we're going to kill you surely right now. And then they killed it. They hit him in the head, buried him in a shallow grave. But it's really the woman, as we all know now, who Hiram is. They know who it is. But that's what it's about. It's about knowing the secret of the womb. Because through the stargate of the womb is how you get here for the purpose of the topic of the beginning of what you discussed, to learn your lessons. That's it, that's all. To come back to perfect soul. You go to chapter 5 of the Circle 7 Holy Koran, where it tells you about, the tools of a workshop of the mind. And he's talking about, the hammer to hammer the truth in until it is part of everything. And the saw to cut off all the naughty and ungainly things. Well, guess what? What's naughty and ungainly for you may not be the same for someone else, but these tools are used. And then it's the I don't have it in front of me. The balance, the plumb to make sure everything's balanced. You know what I mean, like that, right? And so, so the thing is that these are called not the tools of the workshop of the body, because you're standing there looking at yourself right now, looking at whoever's in the room with you right now, and you're looking at the physical body. But the tools are of the workshop of the mind, not of the body, because the body comes thereafter. The mind, the body is the temple or the housing for the soul, and the mind is the companion to think of these ideas and create or co-create, like that. But mainly, when you come here on this physical thing, you talk about the tools of the workshop of the mind, even though you're in the body. Why do you think they emphasize the tools of the workshop of the mind and what they are? Because that companion, the necessity, is to have your mind working in order to direct your body, And so what do you have? You have a higher and a lower self. Which one are you going to use? I know the brother Hakeem said to me, and it stuck with me. He said, the lower self is a beautiful, beautiful servant, but it is not a good master. And what has happened is the script has surely been flipped. You got the lower self as the master and your higher self as the servant. It ain't going to go very well at all. So with that, I yield the floor.
Wow, that's beautiful, because that's all facts. And everything you are saying, both of you were saying, is primal, like just initial lessons that we have to have on the divine side and apply that to the national. Because everything off of the law of nature, everything you were saying, so right and exact. There's no need to even repeat all of that. But yeah, I definitely understand, because it's a reason that the source of the book was called The Silent Brotherhood of the East. Because like the truth is always speaking to us through nature itself. You know what I mean? That's natural law in certain aspects. I'm not vouching for any secret societies or anything like that. I'm just saying that when you take it back, that life is is manifested divine art, and it speaks for itself. You know, the tree, all of these things have different vibratory rates, and everything is metaphysical. And when you were taking it back to the fact that we all start off in the womb, it reminded me of a revelation I recently had. I don't know, what I was missing, but it was something called the butterfly effect. And I suggest that you just Google that, not the movie, but just the metaphysical aspect of that. You know what I mean? And
I have a poem I wrote on that.
Say that again.
When you're done, I have a poem that I wrote on that years ago.
Yeah, because we picture the womb, all of that, right? And big acknowledgement to you on that very subject. I love to hear the poem that you have written. If you don't mind getting that to, would you read that? You know what I mean? Because
I don't know if I can find the poem. I'll let you finish, but I know I'll let you finish and put out the wisdom of the lesson of the butterfly, because it's the most powerful spiritual lesson we have, I think.
Oh, yeah. But on multiple levels, though. Like, we're talking on spiritual levels. We're talking on mathematical levels as well. Right? We're talking levels as well. Metaphysics. So many different levels. And you could just Google it and check it out. But one of the things that's primitive about it is that it says that, the butterfly effect is a concept that states that small causes can have larger effects. But that's just one aspect of it, because it talks about, the dependence on initial conditions, which to me just goes back to birthrights. When you think of the law of nature, natural law, and how things come into manifestation and how they grow from there. I know you're going to touch and elaborate more on that. You know what I mean? But we're talking about this particular philosophy based off the law of nature called the butterfly effect. Is a concept in mathematics, metaphysics, all of these things. So when you look at the Brotherhood of the East, Yahshua was continuously going through different tests, and he kept passing the test. And every time the test came, it was basically based off of temptation and fear. If my memory serves me correct, most of those were temptations of fear and fear, right? And every time he would get over the temptation of fear, he would get the next degree. You know what I mean? So, like you said, it's all about the mind. It's the mentality, the mental. And with that comes a lot of things on the, metaphysical realm and the physical realm. Like on this earth plane that's applied science, protected rights under the First Amendment. When you was mentioning about the different aspects of religion or whatnot, and have been speaking on that subject, it's like, the First Amendment is there for a reason. Noble Drew Ali mentioned these things for a reason. And he was based on constitutional law, not a 501c3. Not on the same type of deals as the oldest plantation in North America. Like, that was not the status that religious freedom was on. He was talking coming from a constitutional perspective, when he was speaking about religious freedom and all of that. But I say that because there's so many layers that go with that, just like the metaphysics you were all speaking about. It's more than the surface. It's based off of patterns in the law of nature and the process of nature. So, with those concepts being in mind, that everything is basically a symbolic lesson because it's a manifestation of the divine energy you was just talking about, because you were talking about how man is mind and man is not the physical, right? But then it also goes when you talk about the 7 principles that was mentioned in the passage you read, the 7 hermetic principles. You go into that, and it talks about, or in the principles of the Kabbalion, it talks about how the universe is mental. Like everything is mental, because every living thing is connected to every other living thing. And that is just the natural fact based off the same lessons you were speaking on, which is very important to understand in these times, because there's so much division based off of Nam de Gears, slandering, and it's like there's a perpetual intention to disrupt the process of nationality, of those who stand on nationalities and birthrights, based off of certain things that happened before. So it's like, again, going back to that butterfly effect, everything comes full surface, if you will, or full circle. And, as a man thinketh, so is he, because psychology is one of the primitive aspects of identity, right? Going back to the fact that you have different states of mind when it comes to identity. And those who are like, oh, well, Moors are not indigenous to America, you have the substantive right, you know what I mean? Freedom in its own essence is self-determination. So, with the aspect of Moors exercising the right to be themselves, you have different people who are trying to discredit, like, Moors only applies to those quote-unquote Berbers of North Africa, when it's a documented fact. All you have to do is actual real study, not, opinion hearsay. Moors are, in fact, indigenous to the American land. Ancient and Modern Britain, Volume 1 will show you that. These are documents that will show you that are recognized. J.A. Rogers, Sex and Race, Volume 1, 2, and 3 is recognized, in the congressional records and things of that nature. So, when it's talking about Moorish history, as far as it is relative to North America and the world, period, nobody can ever take that away from us. And the fact that, we definitely have the right to self-determination, self-identify, I haven't been on in about 2 weeks, so I just wanted to just say this too, even with the whole concept of the black identity extremist aspect. And I want to say this relative to the psychology and the fact that as a man thinketh, or as a mind thinks, so is he, or so is she, however you would like to say that, respectively, that in psychology, identity achievement refers to, having come into the conclusion of one's own self. Like, even when we went to the museum, it was saying right in there that, quote unquote, Africans became black. And the fact that, that's a brand name that came from the colonial days of the Europeans in North America, etc., that in itself is enough to tell you that those types of words do not apply to us. But again, going back to what you said, man is not the body, because people will say, because their skin is brown or very melanated, that they're quote unquote black. And I understand, the misperception. But at the same time, as a person thinketh, so are they. And they don't know themselves. What their thoughts will be thinking is something contrary to their true nature. And you have those who are complacent, like, well, I'm comfortable with that. And that goes back to what you were saying about the lower self, the devil. Even those concepts come from astrology. Those concepts come from astrology. You know, it talks about the higher arc and the lower arc, but those are just the polarities of the zodiac, the 6 northern constellations and the 6 southern constellations, which Capricorn is the lowest of that emanation. And that's why they say that that's the devil and all of that. And, you know, all of these things. So, I mean, everything has a astrological implication. We have to understand that. A lot of that is being worked on.
Well, you just put something to my mind when you said that about the six southern and the 6 northern. You know, everything is so right and exact. You can get involved in it however deeply you wish to, but even on the surface, it's correct because the 6 lower, you know, it's it's personal houses that then go prep through crossing over the social line to the northern houses. So even at your lowest self on that surface, it's all about your foundation and what you were taught from birth up. Your personal independent houses and your personal subjective houses absolutely determine the personal dependent houses. The social dependent houses and the social objectives. Period. So it just hit me. 6 higher, 6 lower. I knew this, but you just brought it to the front. That even at your worst, it's all about what you were taught from the womb, which is the first teaching, or what you came here with, and then taught. So even at your lower self, you can even look at that because that's the foundation. Your personal, the 6 houses in the lower end at the nadir, starting with and then reaching your highest attainment at the 10th house, which is Capricorn, which then leads you straight into your social objects, and that is determined as to whether or not you're doing work for whatever your service is, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So even at the it's
and
tried
remember,
and true.
Yeah. Also remember that the word semester actually just means 6 months. 6 months. Semester. And so you take 2 semesters, that should be a worthy time of studying the zodiac straight through a year or a solar cycle or your self cycle, starting with birthday or born day. You know what I mean? Talk about that because you start grabbing lessons straight out of thin air or straight out of the environment, straight from nature. Remember going back down in flashback to the Liberty Walk. You know what I mean? Life is an open book. Life is an open book. You have to step out in the world and examine and absorb, and previous to that, to do that, like that's a beautiful thing. It's a necessity in all aspects of it to see multiple aspects,
Yeah. There's one other thing that you brought to light here too that made me bring this to the table. You had mentioned something about there's something disrupting the national or natural principles of life. And something about it happened before, and it made me think about Prophet Noah's early statement. And this is you really want to hear this. Really want to hear this. Prophet Noah's early says, and we get it now. He said, "Those who were with me then are with me now. Those who were against me then are against me now." Now, people, it is interesting to me how they have permeated into, and they call them that in the ancient text as well, the secret teachings of John or the Apocryphon of John, same thing. It's funny to me how those contemptible spirits that were against then and now have made their way into one of the well-known institutions left by the Prophet on the ground level called the MHHS. And that's right, I said it because I'm not talking about his work and intent. I'm talking about the infiltrated ones. How do you know that it's absolutely infiltrated? You might not know whether they're a 501c or not because they think incorporation means that, but that's one way. Because these people, they're telling people today, and I got to put it on the table because, we're going to be at New York tomorrow, and a lot of this is happening at New York and probably everywhere. I don't know who put this out. But, listen, join the temple and then become a member of the state and everything will be fine. Let me tell you what that is saying. They're saying, which I predicted a few years ago, that these types of temples, these people in these temples, have the corruption is absolutely at that temple, at the MSC of the Age temple, that it has reached a critical level where they are literally, hear this, agents for the state to bring you into the state. Really, they're agents for the municipality, which makes it even worse because that's Roman venues. All right, absolutely are agents. Now, at this critical time, there are people who are, and I think, Anna E., you sent me the text on that. You sent me the article on that. They are jumping ship of being U.S. or U.S.A. citizen. Jumping ship like this, like it's 20%, 40%, it's really rolling in terms of, and I'm talking about, it doesn't matter what their nationality is. They are definitely disconnecting. Now, Moors, please hear this, because we've always been docile, and we've always been asleep. So please, you may not be totally awake because they're still trying to put you back to sleep. If anybody comes to you during this time, when everyone else, or most everyone else, realizes that they cannot be a citizen of the U.S.A. because it's a corporation, and you got the people at the temple telling you to become that, can you not see they are direct agents for you going back into slavery, using the MSTSA to do it? They ought to be tarred and feathered, as my mother used to say. Tarred
Yes.
and feathered. You hear me?
But look,
mm-hmm.
Look, remember, I don't know if I missed something in the literature or anywhere like that, but for certain, I was saying, I'm like, I understand that the Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution guarantees a Republican form of government, right? That is the fact. That's documented in the Constitution. Article 4, Section 4, it says that. And I'm like, well, present day, this seems like, and mind you, the Constitution was ratified in the 1700s. Let's keep that in mind, okay? And the 14th Amendment was ratified in the 1860s. So keep the timeline in mind, right? But I'm like, is something wrong with these parties that's calling themselves Republicans and Democrats today? And one thing I learned from recent travels is that what we call, or what is called today, modern day Republicans and Democrats are really, and this is no disrespect, but you may have heard of this, and if you have, please elaborate. But these parties that are really all Democrats basically was carpetbaggers and scalawags. Like, have are you familiar with those terms of parties? Like, not for nothing, because I remember there was certain that term came off as derogatory back in the day, scalawags, like that was used as a disrespectful term. But like post or pre, right before the 14th Amendment, these were the infiltrating parties to the de jure Republican form of government, right? Which came from carpetbaggers, the scallywag. And this was going on in the South. And this is the modern day Democrats and Republicans. Like, that is a fact. Like, so, like, they say, like, these Republicans that are claiming to be Republicans today couldn't really be Republicans because they wouldn't be in bed with an unconstitutional form of government called a democracy. You understand? So when they on the floor talking about Republicans versus Democrats and all of that, those are really called scalawags. Those are not, that's not the real republic. And that's a fact. Please research those. Carpetbaggers and scalawags. Fact. And that was surrounded around the 14th Amendment, the artificial person, you know, the U.S. citizen. Going back to even the fact that even when Diane Nash, you know, when with the whole BIE thing, like when Diane Nash was doing what they was doing and Hoover was attacking them, a European came to her and was like, you know, look at this report that Hoover put out on you. And she was like, oh, no, that he said that the FBI put out on you. And she was like, oh, no, that's just Hoover and them. You know what I'm saying? And the European was like, you mean that's just Hoover? She was like, look, we're studying American citizenship. And the first thing they tell you is that if you give arbitrary power for over 50 years, you know what I mean, that power will manifest. So she was like, I don't care what Hoover and the FBI report say. You know what I'm saying? Because we know what we're talking about at that particular time. You understand? And the importance in that, regardless of what the de facto forms of government are saying, that, you know, you have certain rights, inalienable, that if you really zone in, they can't stop you. And again, remind you, she said they were studying American citizenship, not United States citizenship. Like, they really wasn't. And I'm not saying that everybody should, I'm not saying whether you should feel comfortable claiming that or not. I'm just saying that the distinguishment, the type of citizenship that she was studying, that they were studying. You understand? So, like, and eventually they pushed through, regardless of the slander that the FBI was putting out at that time about her family. Same thing they did with the Panthers when they tried to set up Jeff Fort to go in on the Peace Stone Rangers to go in on the Panthers. You know what I'm saying? By alleging that they had certain hits out for each other, all of these different things. They was trying to manipulate the minds of people. Because why? It was intelligence. It was counterintelligence. So they were really countering his intelligence. They tried to send, they sent Jeff Fort the letter talking about the Panthers had a hit out on him. And they knew that that information was false. They knew that. You understand? And that's what it was. So they were so thirsty back then that they locked Fred Hampton up for quote unquote stealing $71 worth of ice cream bars. Did you hear me? $71 worth of ice cream bars. That's what they tried. They couldn't get him on nothing lawfully. You understand? So that's what they had to do. And this is what I'm saying. This is what you're looking at. So they counted intelligence to put people against each other. You know what I mean? When there really was no problems. And they made that the primitive issue, you know, anonymously. Like, it's just crazy. So, you know, salute to all of those who came and had to go through that type of manipulation from alleged people and supposed to be in power. And I'm like, well, you know, if if Trump fired the head dude of the FBI, what was the motive, the political motive behind that? And anything they had previous to that is, how is that valid? What was the problem? You know what I'm saying? If he wasn't that qualified as Trump is saying, you know, enough to fire him, were they reports valid in the first place? Like, you know what I mean? All of this comes into question. You know, so that's my take on it. I don't, you know, I don't have too much trust in anything they say, because it's a record since, I mean, before the 50s, but from the 50s, 60s up to now, you know, they have a record of lying. Like, that's a known fact. They have a track record of lying and slandering.
The biggest lie is to say they're, you know, enforcing law and government when, you know, when you read what the law of the land is, that's not what's happening. That's why it's our duty to do so. So, well, that's one of the biggest lies. The biggest lie is that, you know, we're the slaves of the American land when actually they are. I mean, it's funny how we can call ourselves anything every 20 years, but as soon as you go to say you're a Moor, everybody says you know, it's something to that for certain, and we have to live up to it.
Yeah, but Moors being aboriginal to this land is beyond dispute. Like, it's documented in top respected scholars, researchers, and historians that came before any of us were born, and they didn't come from a quote-unquote strictly religiousized perspective. Like, they were speaking on, you know what I mean, the anatomy of people, the nationality of people, of Moors specifically, you know. So, like I said, Ancient and Modern Britons, A Pictorial History of America, those are books that put this issue beyond dispute. You know what I mean? Look, they say so much craziness about Moors, right? But remind you, not too long ago, we're talking 1700s, the Europeans had to get passes to travel on the road. There's something called the Great Warrior's Path. Do your research. We're talking over 800 miles right here in North America of straight path. All of this is relative to the formation of the Constitution, relative to the Aboriginal people of North America, Moors. Understand that. You know what I mean? Like, really understand that. So when you talk about the right to travel in Aboriginal and indigenous rights, and people try to fade Moors, the record is already there. You can't talk First Nation anything. Barack already put the cat out the bag. Hillary already let the cat out the bag. You know what I'm saying? Trump is in bed with the modern Arabians, or the quote-unquote Saudi Arabians, which was taken over by, you know, Ibn Saud, who's in the cover of the Circle 7. But nonetheless, they just ran down on all the nobles over there and did a sweep like 2 days ago on the princes and all of that. And, you know, remember, if you rewind, Trump, he went over there back in May to Saudi Arabia. Y'all remember that? I'm pretty sure y'all remember that, when he went over there. And they're saying that they're backing the sweep that whatever form of government is going on over there just did to the quote-unquote nobles, you know what I mean, of Saudi Arabia. So, I mean, there's just so many things that's going on relative to the de facto forms of government. Like the fact that even Judge Napolitano told the people, you know, modern times, because it was already said in the Constitution, I mean, in the Declaration of Independence, but a former judge had to let the people know that they definitely have the right to alter or reform. This is not to be rebellious. It is just a fact of history and law it's written in the quote unquote United States codes that the people have the right to alter or reform any tyrannical form of government. You know, in any form, meaning that whether they claim it to be democracy or a Republican form of government, to reform it. So I'm just saying that to say that for those who are trying to play, you know what I mean, Moors, RV Bay publications, etc., like it's nothing that the natural people we are doing that is not in line with the law of nature. You know what I mean? International law. It's in a big distinguishing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big distinguishing.
There's something other interesting, and Anna Eid, I know you're there because you know this is a thought you're having. You might want to speak on this. We often talk about, oh, that's 14th Amendment for corporations. However, that was, even saying that is for us to say it was never, ever meant for natural people. But even into that, the 14th Amendment was never ratified. That's why you talk about the organic constitution. You don't include that stuff because it's not ratified.
If you trace the alleged parties, right, because they say these were Republicans and Democrats, i.e. the Union and Confederacy, right, in the 1800s, but in the 1700s, the Republican form of government was already established. So how did the Union and democracy come to establish something else in the 1800s as far as citizenship?
Very good point.
You know what I mean? Look, if you study, I'm dead serious, like study carpetbaggers and scalawags. These are your modern day Democrats and Republicans. I'm not saying that to be, disrespectful. This is the real facts of history. That wasn't the republic that was established in the 1700s. It was after the Congress adjourned sine die, right? Then that was pre 14th Amendment when they adjourned sine die or without day. So you could tell the difference of the infiltrated or the de facto form of the government if you really study the carpetbaggers and scalawags, and that's a fact.
Islam. All right.
Islam.
Islam.
All right. Islam. All right, let's see. It is 10 minutes to 11, so what we're going to do now is we're going to open up the phone lines and take some callers. So if you have a question, comment, or a concern, press 1 on your telephone down, and we'll take the callers in the order that we receive them. Once again, press 1 on your telephone down, and we will begin to take callers. Caller 228-627, you're live on the air.
Islam.
Islam.
Yeah, this is Wilton Turk Bay, and I've been enjoying the conversation tonight. It basically has touched base of some of the things I've been thinking about throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here in Mississippi, and making a change in my life by claiming who I am as a Moor and trying to carry that out, trying to find myself as the whole man. And in light of that, learning the corruptness of the society that we're living in. And by being a Moor, this government really don't want to have anything to do with you. It gives you the opportunity to see the other side of them where they are basically, if they can, they just want to do away with the Constitution. and they don't really care about your rights. I had an incident today. I went into my bank, and they wouldn't even serve me because of my ID, and they wouldn't even give me anything in a written document stating that they couldn't serve me. It's just, but I guess the thing about it, I'm trying to figure out what's my next steps, because I'm just coming into this. I'm still waiting on my proclamation papers and everything, and I've been working with the union for, I guess, since 1999, and since I been claiming my Moor's heritage on the jobs and everything, that they've been slowly squeezing me out, that they are not really allowing me the chance to work, and now I see I can't even get unemployment. So I was just thinking about what you were saying, that trying to find your mind, taking it from one level to another level and trying to maintain it, because what I'm going through right now is like all doors are shut, but I realize I cannot and will not go back to being a slave. So how do I maintain? How do I continue to?
You never were a slave. You know, we gotta make the distinction between the fact that, you know, you saying your nationality, you know, that's discrimination, to discriminate upon someone, you know, and it's also discriminating upon your ancestry and your mother and father and your family line, and you know, if that's an experience that one is having, one of the things that we would need to do on a collective basis, handle it the same way. It's like, okay, put in writing that you know you can't deal with it. So now, if they didn't want to do that, because remember, they're employees that are just trained to say no or trained to say yes or whatever, but they're all guided by, like, some people think they're guided by something else that can deny you, when the law of the land is the law of the land, and they're operating on the land in that fashion. So if we were all to say, well, you know, let me write to the CEO of whatever that, you know, company is or whatever, we will get a different reply. And so we have to be willing to do that, to handle our own affairs. We have to be willing to do that, to handle our own affairs. You know, and then if you did it and I did it and she did it and he did it and we did it and did it like that, they won't be shutting doors. Okay. That's just their response. And because we don't counter, you know, and put it back in where it belongs, then they figured, well, we can get away with doing that. And in fact have for a long time, not forever, but for a very, very long time, and generations got away with it because we didn't even know. Now that we know, there's certain things we have to do. And collectively as Moors, we can't allow them to discriminate us across the land when it's our daggone land that they're operating on. But I mean, I'm not saying that that's what you say, but it has definitely permeate from, you know, from that position. That's discrimination. So if we hear that that's what they want to do, then we need to push back. Or just sit our asses down and let it continue. Like you said, it's really not going back into slavery. It's just being suppressed. So this is what we have to do. So this is why all this information is there. It's just unfortunate that, you know, so it's unfortunate of the manner in which we see it, you know, and how we don't push back in an intelligent way.
Okay. And I guess one of my questions is then, because I'm still waiting on my proclamation papers. So what can I start processing on some of these things that?
Without them, listen, papers only, anything in written form, including your card, expresses your position. Is a brief that expresses your position regarding a matter, whatever that matter may be. But you have to be who you are with or without the papers. You know what I'm saying? It's got to come from that position. Got to come from, because then that comes from within to without, and you can only be what you know, and then you're being what you know, and you're being yourself. And whether you have the paper or you don't have the paper, you know what I'm saying? But it's not saying that you shouldn't have it, because you should be able to put down in writing your position, period, regarding a matter. That's what a writ is, and handle affairs based on how you need to handle them. You know what I'm saying? But coming from that position in your mind, a lot of us, and it's understandable, don't come from that position because we have not had knowledge of it. So it's the lack of knowledge that we perish. So you're going to have to, because, see, there's no turning back on this, because then, I'd like to say because then they win, but they don't win. Victory is absolutely assured. However, you're going to have to take that position yourself. Otherwise, they'll squash you out, just like you said. And it's not a combative position per se. It's an intelligent position.
Yeah, because I guess what I heard is I'm trying to find out some type of income, because the way they done squeeze me out of work, unemployment, and I never filed. I heard about the exempt for levy something. Something about using your account for exempt for levy. I never did it before, and I never really talked to anyone, because over the year, a year or so, I've been in this process of claiming my nationality, and the first people that I started with, they were on the wrong track, and I had to change went from there to Arbia Bay. But prior to that, I even went to one of the Moor temple, and a lot of these people out here that calling themselves Moors and everything, they're not on the right track. So I kind of thank God for you guys running to y'all, because I see the righteousness. So it's been a long journey on me, and I really haven't had anyone other than myself to talk to as with a Moor. About some of the process things I'm going through, because right now I'm trying to figure out about the income, but your message is consolating. Is you tell me it's within me, so that she hadn't brought me this far to leave me, so.
Now, let me ask you, you're a truck driver, correct?
No, ma'am. I'm a millwright.
A what?
I'm a millwright. Basically like a outside machinery. I work on at different nuclear power plants.
Okay.
Work on turbines and machinery.
Mm-hmm.
So you and your worker.
Maybe you can write to MHHS on MHHS Eyes Wide Open at Gmail, because you can deal with that discrimination. Not that you're gonna go and do a discrimination suit. You're just going to know what to say, who to write it to, or whatever like that. And if we all were to do that, it would be over. Because you can't deny your ancestry. No one can change your descent nature. They really can't. And honoring of your mothers and fathers is a necessity. there's a lot of things that go with that, but you got to get a strategy on that. So
Mississippi, and I'm willing to do it because Mississippi is rough. They the way they coming from it is like they trying to reject it, and
well, I don't know what they're rejecting. You saying who you are? I mean, what is there for them to reject?
Well,
because
it's like the union. They're not letting me work, so all of a sudden I found myself.
Oh, yeah, the union speaks for people. When you go into okay, you don't have a voice in the union.
Yeah, they're not letting me work, and they tell me a bunch of lies. Like out of this whole year, I probably hadn't worked 6 months. They sent me out on the job. It's supposed to be for 6 weeks. They might lay me off in a week or two or whatever because and then they questioned me a lot about my Moors, about my name, my Moors, and the way I'm trying to claim my W-4. So they just laid me off, instead of just.
Well, okay, that's what I'm saying. We can talk later if you go on there about taxes paid. You'll find out stuff because I think you hit me a call before. You don't have to have anything taken out if you don't want to. It's all contributions, but that'll be something that we can go over if you haven't. If you you have gone on the site. Otherwise than that, I mean, they're just trying to discriminate because remember, they're all used to everybody doing whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so when you come and they kind of don't want you to let the other people know what's going on, but it's none of it shouldn't be discussed. It's your personal or personnel file. So there's a lot of sometimes resentment and jealousy and whatever like that. Well, how do you get to not do this and everybody else doesn't? Because this is how they float. Right. This is how they do.
Right.
Right. So you might need to have a stronger position on it, but yet from a not a controversial position, but from a more intellectual, factual position. Unions are a little different. When you join unions, you give up your right to speak. You do know that. And you have representatives and all like that. So if they don't know anything about what's going on with you, they don't even know how to accept it, deal with it. So you're going to have to be on top of it.
Yeah, it would seem like my own union is part of the conspiracy on me.
You're right. You would say it's the union. How about that?
And they working hand in hand with the contractors that they send me out with. So that's
right.
And because a lot of things that the contractor does to me that's out of the procedure of my employment at the time that my union's supposed to back me up, but they don't. But if it's someone of their kind, they back them up. It's right. Automatic.
So then that has nothing to do with what nationality you say you are. That has to do with apparently they're looking out for their family in their union. First and foremost. Right. So, yeah.
So.
All right. We'll get right, and we'll see if we can continue that. Some other information regarding that you might need.
Okay. On Eyes Wide Open.
MHHS Eyes Wide Open at gmail.com.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I
use the phone.
Righty. Thank you so much for your call. All right, our next caller is 501-352. You're on the air. Peace. Islam 501352. All right. They seem to have stepped away from the phone. All right. Caller 804921. You're live on the air.
Islam. Can you hear me? Yeah, this is Brother Azad Afron Bay. I was calling. Well, I wanted to make a comment, or actually ask a question. I lost my wallet, and I talked to Brother Cujo, and I just wanted to know what I had to do to redo my card. Or I sent a email, and I said, well, the quickest way probably is to get a response on the call, because it's been about a month now, and I was. Mm-hmm.
When did you send the email, and what email did you send the email to? Because we have a response to that. What email did you send it to?
It was GA something.
Nope, that's the wrong one. You looking for your card to be replaced? Is that correct?
Yeah. GSNAMA.
Yeah, GSNAMA. However, that's the wrong email. That only deals with proclamations.
Oh.
So you never sent it to RV Bay Nat card, where you established the card from that email in the first instance. And then if you do send to rvbaynatcard@gmail.com, you will get an instant response back telling you the process for cards that are lost. So I'm speaking for RV Bay Nat card, never got an email from you. And sometimes the email allocations are very important, because there's people who handle the emails and they only handle it to do what that email is about. So your message could be detained, it could be delayed, and they never get transferred because the person is going in to do the job that they're supposed to do. And you might get something that says this is the wrong email for that. You might get that. So you need to send your concern, that email, not to gsnama7@gmail.com, which handles the proclamations only. You need to send it to rvbaynatcard@gmail.com, and you will get the process for redoing your cards, because it doesn't cost the same. It costs less, and it tells you exactly what to do.
And you said net, that's N-A or N-E?
NAT, RV Bay Nat, as in national, but it's short. NAT, CARD @gmail.com. You send it there, and you'll get a message, a canned message that comes back that tells you exactly what to do to have your cards done over again.
Okay.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty. Let's see. Caller 214565. You're live on the air.
It's on, family.
Islam.
It's on. This is Abdul Malik Shabir Bay. I'm calling from Northwest Macon, the Texas Republic territory. Once again, family, I'd like to get a shout out to Anna L., you, Roz Morale, Miz. What's up, Miz?
What's going on, bro? Abdul Shakur, Malik Bay. What's good, brethren?
It's Mo's and Mobiles spreading the word, letting those fallen Moors wake up and know that they're still here and everything is going according to plan that our prophet Noble Ali has put forth and left us with the instruction
to go for. We must remember that we are descendants of Moroccans born in America. Mm-hmm. We are the descendants of a great and mighty people. Study. Please study. Why study? Because you will be tested. And if one has studied enough before one make a move, because as I stated, you will be tested. And then you will be able to show yourself approved. For the information that R.V. Bay Publications and the word and writings that with our illustrious prophet Noble Drew Ali, Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, has left us. You cannot walk before you crawl, meaning and stating you must be prepared before you go forward. Because as I stated thrice, you will be tested. And if you are not studied, learned enough, please do not try to do what those who are qualified and been studying the law and are armed and able to withstand the vices of these devils, because they know who you are. They're there to test you and see if you qualify to be who you are. And we can never underestimate those who have set up corporate entities and constructed facilities upon our land, who's running their so-called government on our land. Until we are lawfully and legally instituted in the Constitution and the treaties of this land, and know what has been put down by our forefathers and our foremothers, that you are in the midst and walking in it, the truth. I beg my Moabites and Moor brethren, prepare yourself. Get yourself indoctrinated in all true Moorish literature. And stay off this Facebook and these lines, these idiots are getting on here just because they got a fez on their head. Because it's written, take off your turbans and your feathers and return to that state. If you want to be there, don't come in this movement propagating and stating when facts are nothing what came out of the mouth of our prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam, family, I love y'all. Continue the good work. Peace and blessings.
Islam.
Islam. Peace to that noble. You there?
Islam. My earpiece just fell out. All right.
Islam, I'm still here. I hear y'all. Y'all continue. Have more callers online. Peace. I love you, family.
All righty. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
All right. Well, actually, we don't have any more callers unless there's anyone else that has a comment, a question, or concern. And, here we go. Wait a minute. Caller 972672, you're live on the air.
Islam.
Hey,
this is Moor, Spirit Bay. I had a couple of statements for the line. First statement: I had went to the temple, my brother.
Hold on a minute. You sound like you're far away.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah.
All right. My bad. I'm sorry for that. Yeah, I was saying I had a couple of statements. This is Easy Amir Yasir Bey from the Texas Territory. And I had went to the temple like the one of the other brothers, and when we got in there, it was kind of a different vibe, and at the end, they was telling us to nationalize or proclaim. They gave us application. I was like, I don't know, I ain't never heard it this way, but I was trying to see what they was talking about or whatnot. But when I read through the application, it said like it kept saying MSTA through the whole application. But then when I read through, it had a part and it was saying the MSTA ecclesiastical district. I was like, ecclesiastical. So I looked it up. And when I looked it up, it said something to do with the church or something to do with the ministry or church or something like that. So I was like, I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And then it also asked for my Social Security number on the application. And the application had a lot of boxes on it. I remember Todd saying that anything in a box is dead, or you're not supposed to box anything up. And I just wanted to get y'all insight on that, because first of all, it threw me off to begin with. Oh yeah, it said if you, by completing this registration, the applicant affirms that he/she is domiciled in the Union State noted above, which was a New Hampshire citizen of the United States of America. And then it said, and a residence in a Moor Science Temple of America ecclesiastical district.
Wow, that don't sound too good, because we can't be citizens of the United States of America. You just cannot be. You know, that's agent work, whether they realize it or not, all day long. It can't be. You can't be a national and then be a member, / resident, / citizen of, U.S.A. that was formed in 1791 as the operating on our land. That can't be the case. You can't go back to it's just politically incorrect, and I don't know. They're agents for, like I said earlier, these people are jumping ship off of being, even modern Europeans are jumping ship off of being U.S.A. It said by the droves. I mean, it's a high percentage. It's 20% more this year than it was when it first started. What was that, in 2012 or 2014? It then went up 26% more than that. You know what I'm saying? And then you got these MSTVs, and what they're doing is they're giving people quote-unquote charters from Chicago and having these sons, become grand sheiks and stuff and put the mantle on, and they're pulling them in, and then these same people are pulling the people in to become members of that, because it's a campaign to become a citizen of an inferior corporation. It's like so clear. It's so clear. Why can't that application just say that you are to be who you are?
I thought about that process. I'm like, yeah, that's not the national process. I heard the free national way to do it, but yeah, that was kind of
But if you don't do anything else, just declare it, which means be clear. Even the prophet said, with us, everybody must declare their nationality, and that's Act 6. And then it says, and in these days and times, our national name. So he's saying, put it on put it down. It's not just I'm a Moor, but what is what is your Ilabay, and make it known to the world that you are that. That's the proclaiming, and an Ilabay cannot be a citizen of a quasi-national domicile such as any state or municipality. So I had said before that they were going to be the ones that was going to, sell out the people, but it's actually been done a long time ago, and now they're just on that mission hard, and they go grab people who want to, with their egos, want to have a position, and they are absolutely, and it's just really a campaign. And I find it interesting that while everyone is jumping ship on this U.S.A citizen and U.S. citizen, because it doesn't exist as a corporation, you got our people going into temples, taking positions, getting charters to pull the people into that citizenship. Why? Because everybody else is jumping ship. Because, well, it's not yours anyway. It's just like we really need to get to thinking here. They're agents, municipalities, period.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. But my second statement was I recently sent the discovery off. I had went to court on some tribunal, and they had set me up for a discovery docket. I ended up sending them a discovery in. But my thing was, if they fraud to begin with, and I already went down there and told them who I was, and now I put it in writing in an affidavit writ, and I don't get no response back, then I should consider that dismissed. And do I have to even go down there and make a special appearance?
Now, telling them who you are does not answer the claim, the so-called claim they have against you. You have to answer that in law. That's what it does. And a lot of people say, I'm just going to go tell Mama Moore. No, because these people are who they are, and they're making a claim against you. As bogus as it may be, as unlawful as it may be, you have to answer that as the Moor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
in law,
I didn't contract with them, so I don't know what their claim is. But they're fraud de facto. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
See, it's not a matter of whether you contracted with them. Contract is can be written, can be verbal, can be expressed, can be implied. They've implied and assumed a lot of contract is an assumption, so there can be no assumption in law. So you have to make that clear. So in other words, the law is not about contracting unless, like the Article 1. You have a right to associate with whom you want. So a contract could be included in that association because, again, a contract is not necessarily written. It can be expressed, it can be voiced, it can be implied. So you got to make sure there's no assumptions of that. So that's what, that's part of it. You know what I'm saying? So people say, well, I didn't contract with them. Well, all right then. So that means some strange people are just making a claim on you that they don't have any lawful position or delegation of authority to do. And so why are they doing it? So we all think, it's because I didn't contract with them. Well, all right then, make that clear. But not clear in so much as, I don't have no contract with you. Because it's either an injured party. It is either an injured party or some violation of a contract. Since there's no injured party, then you're right. Where's the contract that I violated? But they didn't bring you in on a contract that you violated. They brought you in on some other bogus crap that, or kind of make kind of trying to make it into a crime without an injured party. This kind of stuff is what you have to know. So we're assuming that they've assumed that we have a contract. Maybe they didn't assume that you have a contract, but you got to make it real clear. To produce. Yes. We make an assumption because we kind of like want to touch and go and don't really, get in there and say, oh, so this is a claim, huh? And answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked him for a discovery, and I thought they were supposed to give me everything, all the evidence that they had or anything that they had that they was passing around, but I guess they set it up so they can so I can come back and they can give it to me, or I don't know how that works, but
what we find is this. When you ask for discovery, yes, that's lawful when you're in a lawful court. They're not a lawful court. You're not in a court, like you said. So, yeah, they're going to mess around with discovery and don't give you everything. I mean, that's what discovery is all about, right? So how do you know what everything is until you ask for it? But they're not going to really hand that. I mean, that is lawfully correct, but you got to understand you're not dealing with a court of law.
Yeah.
You dealt with That's what's been assumed for generations. That's what's been assumed.
Yeah.
That you're dealing with a court. They're not a court. They're robbers and thieves.
And if they can't prove that, then it should be dismissed.
Yes, but it should be. But you're going to have to take it out of their court in order to get that, because apparently they're apparently they're frauds. Apparently they're dishonest. Apparently they're not who they say they are. So they're not going to be. If you're waiting for them to dismiss it, you'll be waiting till the cows come home. You're going to have to remove it, because they're not. They're trying to make a claim on something bogus, and they already know that. They've been doing it for generations. They're upset that we are not allowing them to still do that. But if you're looking for them to suddenly become honest, that's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Because from the perspective, they can't continue to do what they do and rape you of your liberties and stuff like that. How the hell will they eat? This is a real big problem for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to stand on my square, too, so I can't no more.
Uh-huh. Right.
See, what I can do on now is just trying to make that statement, and then about the photo, I was trying to see about when I send the photo in by text for the proclamation. Do we send it? We send it to that number that you had gave me before.
And I don't know whether the text takes the photo. It's the GSNAMA7 at gmail.com.
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You can.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I appreciate y'all. Y'all really helped me out. And my highest honors to you. When man honest man, he honest Allah. I appreciate y'all, everybody. And peace and love to everybody in the family. Islam.
Islam.
Right. Islam.
All right.
All right. Caller 804-921. You're live on the air.
Yeah, this is our brother Azad again. When I first was on the call, I did want to kind of speak to the same thing that what Anna E was just talking about. Sister Roz, I'm all over the place right now. But I was going over some things and I was studying. This is kind of the same thing what you were talking about, but it kind of led me to something. I just want to ask a question. About the Sixth Amendment, and what is basically, it also takes me back to the 11th
11th Amendment, where it talks about, it says, judicial power of the United States shall be constructed to extend to any suit in law or equity commenced or prosecuted against one of the United States by citizens of another state. It's kind of fuzzy for me. What is that meaning? What is that?
Well, just what it says. Identifying who, because first you got to look up what state is. A group of people occupying a fixed part of land. But when you're looking at states, they're talking about union states. They're talking about their own unions, their corporation. And you're not a citizen of at all. That's really what they're talking about. And that's are you looking at article? No, you're looking at amendments.
I'm looking at amendment. This is Amendment 11, but I also go back to Amendment 6 because it goes back and forth with that equity, and the biggest problem that I have is that if a cop is giving you a ticket or whatever that they're doing, they're suing you. So when I went back and I looked at some old stuff that happened in the past with me, and I see that they're put down as being a claimant, and I'm saying how is it that they are the claimant, the plaintiff, and all of this, and they're suing you?
That's right.
This thing is so messed up. I'm telling you, this is messed up all over the place.
But at least you're saying they're making a claim against you. That's all they really, like you said, they're suing you. Like, who are they? What's up, right? We say, oh, no, that's the law. And no, it's not. It's right there. But you're right. The person who, they sue you and serve you and be a witness against you, that's in Amendment 6 also. And all of that. So see how much they are violating the law against us and it's really, it's not so much, oh, look at what they're doing. It's really so much that we need to look at ourselves and see what we have not been doing, which is enforcing the law that protects us, especially against those who violated against us. And since we have not done that for whatever reason, they've just eaten us. We're just been food for them. Now we're like, oh, wait a minute, we're not going to be food anymore. I hear, I hear, a voice, and I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And so it causes the rebellion, which is what we're really into right now.
Yeah, because this thing is crazy. Like I said, it goes in when I was just reading and it says the United States by citizens of another state. I guess my biggest question is what stops them, because
Well, look at Article 3. I mean, wait a minute, Article 3. Yeah, Article 3. Look at Article 3. It puts it down there very well. Look at that. You got it in front of you real quick?
Mhm.
Yeah. Plus you gotta remember. Oh, go ahead.
Read Article 3 real quick.
What's the Section 1?
Yep.
Okay. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges both of
Stop. Here, that's the delegation of authority that you tell people you're looking for. All right. Mm-hmm. But I actually want to read, but that's okay. You can still read that. I wanted you to read 2, but keep reading that. That's okay, because 2 is what I really want you to read. But go ahead and read that since you started. I just wanted to show you that means right there that's the authority that you're looking for. All right, go ahead. Finish reading. I think you read the judges.
The judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their office doing good behavior and shall, at stated time, receive for their services a compensation, which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. You want me to read too?
I definitely want you to read that one because that's what citizenship. Go ahead.
The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and the treaties made or which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and counsel. To all cases of counsel. To all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction.
For a second. Okay. You hear people talking about, oh, yeah, they doing admiralty law, girl. You got to do this and do that because what they doing is maritime. What they doing is admiralty. Did it just include that? Didn't you just read that it includes that? Okay, thank you. Keep going. Maritime jurisdiction. To all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. Go ahead. Keep reading.
Controversies to which the United States shall be a party to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming land under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens or subjects.
Wow. So, excuse me. So, yeah. So, keep reading. Just keep reading.
In all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and counsel, and those in which a state shall be a party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. In all cases,
stop for a second. In those in which a state shall be a party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. Well, that means that when that municipal policy enforcer stops you, gives you a ticket, and sues you, and then when they send it to you, it says the state versus you, doesn't it? Okay, so if the state is versing you, but the state's not the one that stopped you and put their hands on you or even sued you by writing a ticket, summon, suit. Nope. But if the state is versing you, then why is it being heard in a municipal court? It says right here that has original jurisdiction is the Supreme Court. So therefore, why are we even going into these municipal inferior courts? Because the damn thing says the state versus you. Oh, so did Congress give you a delegation of authority to operate as such? Of course not. That's why they don't show it, because they don't have it. You see how deep this thing is? Okay.
So the other portion when I was just studying and just going through the different words and just looking up certain things, I ran across something called a compulsory license. I think I'm saying that right. But it's a license where they can charge a fee. So I was saying, well, even to that account, that's still unconstitutional, especially going by what happened as far as what the Supreme Court has already deemed to be unconstitutional. So it's all about the words. I'm telling you, this thing
is under licensing. If it's a right, then no state or anyone can license it, attach a fee to it. So when you say compulsory license, you're still talking about licensing. Under what, I'm not sure. But, if it's a right, it can't be licensed, and you can't attach a fee. And then it has another case that said that if they do that, you can go forth with doing that act with impunity. But, I mean, that's the law. Now, if we knew that was law and we stood on that, we wouldn't even be where we are today with, you're going to jail because you didn't have the license and you didn't do this and you violated number 823 of the license, compulsory or otherwise. So long they've been getting away with that and making finances. It's like a vampire sucking your life and your blood. For real. And so, so there it is. It's all pointed out. And so some people say, well, they don't want to follow the Constitution. I don't give a damn whether they want to or not. You and I are supposed to be the people, are supposed to be enforcing this. This is why Prophet Noble Drew Ali said there is but one issue, and that is to enforce the Constitution. Why? Because of what we just read, different citizens, what you were just talking about, different citizens and subjects of different states and so on. Enforce the Constitution so that you, now you got to know what the Constitution is, law of this land supreme, so that you are not molested by what? Other citizens. And so a corporation is a subject citizen. Oh, yes, that's the subject. That's citizenship that it falls under, a corporation under subject, because they're subjected to the law of the land as well, and they're under subject citizens. So we are being molested by other citizens because we don't enforce or haven't enforced the law of the land, which can never go. Listen, the Constitution is a written document. Therefore, it cannot be altered. What it meant when it was adopted by these other citizens is what it means today. And it doesn't matter whether they take an oath to it or not take an oath to it. And because someone say, well, we don't take an oath to the Constitution. Even if you don't, the power is that it is the law of the land for the people to enforce, and to enforce against those who violated against them. Simply put. So why is it that that's not happening? Because there's no institution, no classes, no schooling that actually teaches it from the time you're old enough to read. They go in some other constitution that is not the organic constitution and tell you that's the Constitution. But then now let's since we're in this, let's go back to let's go up to Article 6. We gotta there's a remedy for that too. And what's the remedy for that? It says, this Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof. Now you go into, what do you mean in pursuance thereof? Now you got to go into Article 1.7, I think it is, tells you how laws are made. And they're not made unless Congress is when Congress is in Synodia. And Congress been in Synodia since 61. So there are no laws being made. So that's what it means by in pursuance thereof. So you got to go back to read how laws are promulgated. All right? And that's when you can surely know this stuff is not law. So anyway, it says, and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties that are made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state that is to the contrary is not withstanding. They don't have a lawful standing, but because we didn't know that, they stood anyway and said yin and yang and this and that and jump over the candlestick and all this stuff, and we went for it because of lack of what? Knowledge. It all ties to the same thing. So that when you start reading this stuff that's truly there, people don't know the difference. And it says that they must be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, which means if they're not, let's say they're not, then they're not, I don't know who they are. There's some other corporation, citizen, member or some other crap, meaning they don't have any authority sitting in any judicial positions telling you jack. If they haven't taken the oath, they most certainly are not. They most certainly are not. That would be treason. But if they have, then it would be treason for them to do this. And there's a case law that says no judge can undermine, can violate the Constitution without undermining his own oath to it. All right, that's what they're saying. So if they didn't take one, you are talking to some, happy to freaking clown that or some meeting, some head of a meeting room that opened up an office at the city hall, or it's a building they call the city hall. It's a meeting room, called it a court, right? And he's talking yak because he doesn't have the authority. That's what they've done. You talk about Hollywood and costumes. That's what they've done. So then you go to New York. There's an act in New York, act of, I think it's 1895. I'm not sure the year. I don't have it in front of me, where it says that if they even use the word court, it's a misdemeanor. There's a violation to call that meeting room down at the city hall there, what they call the city hall or the municipal building, to call that shit. Fine, you can put on them for that. They can't use that word in terms of a judicial courtroom if that's what it is not. Now, what I'm saying, Cloudy, sounds good, but until we all have knowledge of that and enforce it, it means not much to any of us. It's to us as a people, because it has to be collective. It has to be collective. So, and then it says no religious test shall be required as a qualification for the office. Blah 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 blah. So there you go. You went Article 3, Article 6. And 9, right? And they all tie together. They all tie together. And then 11, as you mentioned, is basically saying, yo, if it's not written in here, if it's not written in this Constitution, because the articles are what they can and cannot do, if it's not written in here, they have no authority over it. Well, what have they done? They've taken authority over every breathing part of your life. So that's an enslavement mentally. See, this is the thing. They've taken over every breathing part of your life through the holy breath that you breathe. Touchable. It's not tangible because it's mental. So just as they've taken that position without saying it but just doing and being it, is the same way, Moors, you're going to have to take it back. And I don't mean take it back like you could touch it to see it. Just be it. Came to teach you to be yourself, and there's guidance along the way. Things along the way for you to rest your laurels upon. And we won't do it because of the mental enslavement. So what comes first? Release the mental enslavement, which means have the exorcism and the baptism. I don't know. Guess what? It all has to come together, so you have to look into yourself and see which part of it you want to do. You need to do first, because some people can, read what we just read, brother, and you got it, and other people may take a minute. They don't have that other foundational part to be able to receive it, but yet this right here is the foundational part, at least to the limit that it's the law of the damn land. It doesn't matter who's on it, occupying it. It doesn't matter. So it is what you can use as a collective people to keep them off your behind. It is, so that we're not molested. That simplistic thing right there cannot be overlooked. However, you got to get to that point. We have to get to that point as a collective people. Is do it. Just like hurry up and do it tomorrow. Get it done, because that's the point we got to get at. Now we can recognize when the law has been violated against us and do something about it collectively. And that's what they don't want to see happen. So what we're experiencing is a rebellion. It's a civil war happening as you and I are speaking right now. Not just for us, but for everyone.
And what else? What else? I can just add to what you're saying. What else? Because it's been playing in my mind. All this stuff that these other Moors and other people have been saying. I say obviously something must be working. Ivy Bay Publications must be really working to weed out what they've been doing, because obviously they had to come out and say all these different type of things, So kudos. I mean, like I said, something is changing because, you know, if they have to come out and start speaking and saying a little different stuff about sovereign citizen and all this stupid stuff, and all we're doing is just governing ourselves, you know, that to me, it makes no sense. It makes no sense for them to even come out and say stuff like that.
Well, they're coming out. See, this is the other thing. Thanks for bringing that up. What we need to realize is we set the stage for everything. You know, I mean, from fashion trends to all kinds of stuff. We just do not realize it. But this is more. You're right. Now, so what is being talked about today is nationality, and of course they add sovereign on there, but not to be confused with the sovereign citizens and European stuff. But because sovereignty can only come with nationality. Period. Done. All right. Aboriginal, indigenous people. That's it. That's all. It doesn't stand on its own. Modern Europeans tried to let it stand on its own, and they was going to be sovereign citizens movement, and now they want to throw that on us. But part of the reason they do it is because we run right into the stuff that they threw in the trash when they realized a few years ago. And I remember finding a website where they was telling each other, "Oh my God, we're not. This isn't our home. We're not the. You know, this isn't our land." No, it never was your land. Hell, I mean, you. That's clear, but so we're talking it. So now, thanks for bringing this up, brother, because I'm telling you, now what they're doing is trying to combat that and and they will tell people who really don't know to go in another direction. But the biggest thing they've done is manage to, since we're all coming towards Prophet Noble Drew Ali's information, what they're doing is going straight to the MST of A and these egotistical so-called grand chiefs that just want to have somebody scraping. That just want to have
I was moving papers.
A title. They're going straight to them, and they're using them to infiltrate the people. This is the time when the prophet said, "Be careful. Some of your own will put you back into slavery, wearing turbans and feathers, or not wearing turbans and feathers. It doesn't matter. This is real talk time, real time talk. Let's put it that way, because that's what's happening. What's on the front burner is principles, national principles, and birthright. Period. It's on the burner, so that's why they're talking it. Now, as far as RV Bay, we have always, from the very beginning, came with the same damn principles that we have today. We came with the same thing, and it might have been like, okay, we're there, we're over here, and we're just, doing nothing wrong, no hate crimes, no hate anybody, just telling the historical truth in and under the First Amendment. The First Amendment or First Bill of Rights is heavy because the First Bill of Rights not only says that you have a right to association, which means to contract or to be associated with who you wish to, it's also your religious freedom, your freedom of speech. It's all right there. So when you operate under that, but no, people want to go operate under UCC code that has nothing to do with law, or under, what's that other thing they were doing? Birth certificate redemption processes, because, you know what I mean? Operate under your rights, already scribed. There's nothing that can supersede it. The only reason they get resistance is because they're testing you on your chin. They're just hitting you on the chin to see what you're going to do next. Because it's like seriously, it's like that Aflac commercial, I think it is, where the duck is in the boat and the boat's got a hole where water is coming out. Somebody told this to me years ago, and I get it now. And then, you try to put your hand over that hole, and then it springs up over here. That's what's happening, right? Stay strong. We got to, be strong and be in it. So the only thing RV Bay is doing is the truth about law. We're not asking nobody to do membership, so that's why no membership. Ain't nobody told you about no membership, nothing like that. No club to join, nothing like that. It's just, get this information because we lack knowledge. We suffer from the lack of knowledge. Islam. I don't know if anyone else has something to add.
No, I just wanted to add on that with the recent turn up of the slander campaigns they mention RV Bay as far as, oh, what they're doing is not lawful and all of this. And going back to Article 3, which the brethren just read, and Article 6, which you suggested he read Article 3, in there it mentions about all cases in law and in equity, right? And then it lists all of the different assortments of situations, and then it confirms that the Supreme Court has original jurisdiction, right, in all of those types of cases. But it said in law and in equity. So, you know what I mean? The laws in equity, like, it's just amazing. Like, you know, you have to understand the nature of certain cases. Like, what are they classified? Lawful cases, equity cases, you know what I mean? And all of these things interrelate to the law of the land. So, again, I say do your research. You know, look up equity, the Book of Equity, John Bouvier's Institutes of American Law, Book of Equity, and correlate that back to Article 3. You know, you're talking about natural justice, all of these things. You know, so, yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that all cases can be either in law or in equity. You know what I mean? It's not always. And then one of the comparisons they make it in light of color of laws. You know what I'm saying? And the case might not even be a lawful case. It might be an equitable case. You have to know the distinguishment in the constitutional protocol that goes with those. So, you know, constitutional law of the land, it's a very deep and broad document. It's a lot more than just what meets the surface, you know, on the eye. So that's no slight on law, but as it says, you know, law is nothing without equity, and that's the real fact. Not commerce, anything like that, like natural justice, you know. So that being said, I yield the floor.
And I did want to. I know I heard. I know it was Anna E. She was at one time. She said that, you know, you have to study and, you know, save yourself. I mean, myself, like I said, I run across a lot of family and stuff like that, and, you know, they're going through certain things, and I like to explain to them without being overly winded, you know, because I research and I'm studying, I'm looking up these different words and things like that, and I have a family member that's, you know, in the North Carolina territory, and his son is going through some stuff, but he didn't have anything to do with it, but they still have some paperwork on him, but they don't have any evidence of it. And I was just sharing stuff with him in hopes that he would pick up some of the lingo. And I told him, I said, just go research for yourself. I mean, I don't want to be overly winded when I'm talking to people, because I feel like, especially people that don't research and learn for themselves, that I feel like I'm basically talking too much instead of them going and looking and researching for themselves.
That's what the prophet meant when he said, if I told you everything, you would go back to sleep. So while you're sitting there feeling like you're talking too much, you're watching them go to sleep right in front of your face, because they can't compute all that stuff. They have to get the other stuff that's in there out first before they can receive what you're bringing to them. They want what you're bringing to them, but they can't. They don't know where to put it, because there's crap that's already there that must be removed. I call it the exorcism of that false information. And so that can be a dangerous situation. You're absolutely correct, though, in that, you know, here we are now at these times, and this is why we tell people, look, if you haven't studied, you better, you know, hurry up and catch up, because that's all that it can be, is for you to know. And, you know, you might want to help your family member, but it depends on where they are or your friends or whatever. They can end up twisting things because they're still twisted because they haven't done what you've done thus far. Like, you could tell them, and then you're right. Let them go and see for themselves and hope that they have the right content when they're going to go see so that they can free themselves and deal with it, because they have to be able to stand on it. And that goes to where, you know, you write a writ for someone. It's like we put writs on the site, but they're really for study. And you know, so if you use one and you really didn't read it and you don't know what it means, you're in big trouble, because you have no standing. Standing, you know. So if you don't know what it says, then how in the heck can you go stand on it? And so the same with your family members. You could tell them, and you're hoping they click and they get it. If they click and get it, the next thing you're going to see that family member do, or that friend, is be in their head in the book studying all the time. That's how you're going to know Islam.
Yes.
Pill to swallow, I tell you. Sometimes it's a real big pill to swallow. But I'm gonna yield the floor. But I did want to share that I had I went through the archives, and I have a lot of the sisters standing on law. I think right now I have a class 1, getting to know the law of the land, and it's a good piece to if wanted to have a study group, you know, just to have that in place, because there's some things that you all have already been through, and it kind of sets the table.
Set the table. I like that. Hey, listen, it sets the table to come to eat. Right, like the prophet said, this is the breakfast fight. It'll be over by breakfast. All we're trying to do is get people to come to the table, to be able to come to the table. I like that. Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, now you have the floor. I thank you all for your time.
All right, peace and love.
Indeed.
All right. Well, that was the last caller, unless we have someone else who has a question, comment, or concern. And if not, that concludes this broadcast. Anyone else has anyone they would like to ask? They would like to ask?
No.
Well, that's it. That's a wrap.
Exactly, that's a wrap. I would say seriously though, study carpetbaggers and scalawags.
Yeah.
All right.
All righty, that concludes, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Make sure to check us out tomorrow.
Live in the flesh.
At the National Theater, live in the flesh. If you can't make it, you can also check us out by calling into this Blog Talk Radio number, and you can still get joining us and keep them low.
Our problem is lack of knowledge and the intended deceit and trickery done, because even those who read the bibliotext that you call the Bible says he shall fool even the most believe. So even those who think they're highly educated and this and that, they've been fooled. That's it. It's not really complicated.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows except those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. The gods are back. The Moors are strapped. We waking up. And we want our land back, running off, that's a trap. You know them guys don't like that. Waking up from a nap, like where the hell my crown at? Take a step back, like I know this bitch ain't bite back. It's kinda crazy how this karma it strikes back. We enslaved Islam, so they slaved us right back. We called them niggas, then they niggered us right back. We brought them to light, but they ain't bring that right back. If I was lazy, dirty dancing with the baby, then just maybe won't revolt like Haiti. I too smart, Lova, Tor, Marcus, Garvey, your ass. Nova, Julia, our leading God, body demands. Now I ain't gotta be bad, and you ain't gotta be mad, but the planet is heating up, so the first I'll be last. I got that melanin that's better than anything you ever medicine. We at your front door, wonder why you never let us in. Oh, I get it, you never wanted to put some credits in. Well, just forget it, cause I don't know if you can edit sin. We've been enlightened long before Thomas Edison. Skeletons to prove that you wasn't even relevant. In the Caucasus Mountains, cause the sun was your deficit. Captain Caveman with the plan of the Jesuits. Check my bloodline, but in time I bring the evidence. Self-governing body, so I don't need no president. Democrat, Republican, donkey versus elephant. I studied in law, so I ain't down with none of that. I self-law in master, so I'm running that. This Molotov cocktail burns faster, so I like the match. Despite the fact that ain't even what I'm mad at. I spit the truth, so here's the roof, so you can that. My skin is brown and here's the proof, but you ain't hearing that. Dead in the eyes of the law, that's why they call you black. Naming all caps when you fall, that's why I strike back. And strike that from the record ab initio. You gon' need more than some pressure, I got a vicious flow. I can take the road to the high, or I can hit them low. Try to calcify my third eye, or you gon' have to go. Chemtrails all over the sky, and you don't wanna know. Don't go inside of my tribe, they coming no more.
If you believe that your history started on a slave boat, I can guarantee you that's where it ended too. That's what I'm saying. Then, after saying that, and so believe me, go back and do some studies past the 1700s, and I'll guarantee you, sure as you're sitting there listening, or wherever you are, watching, listening, you will find nothing but the word Moor, and that's another thing. Because we weren't called black. That description, maybe, black or more or whatever, but that's it. Know the difference between a description and an actual, person, place, or thing, noun. I mean, really.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows except those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. From the pyramids to the project, the beginning is the part they want you to forget. Implant your memory with that noose around your neck. It's the King Alfred plan and it's set in full effect. The butler, the help, and 12 years a slave. Django and Selma, they get them accolades. They made a movie called Exodus about the gods and kings with an all-white cast from Egypt. Now that's the same. They ain't never seen no movie about no European slaves. We were traveling the seas when they was living in caves. We had to civilize them, show them how to behave. In fact, we brought them light and taught them how to bathe. This is trading places with stolen identity. We agreed to be educated by our own enemy. Reverse psychology, I'ma need a lobotomy. An exorcism just to get this shit about of me. Roz Mariah, Anna Eve, Miss Raheem, Tariq, Cujo from Cannonland, listen to them speak. I done learned from the best, I don't need no DNA test. The nations in my womb has given from the breast. The empire's back, so you know what's next. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess. Yes, yes. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess.
Birthright theft. The whole deal was, where's my land that, for them? The whole deal was, this is really quote-unquote promised land. This is really the quote-unquote heart of civilization. This is really what you might call Northwest Africa. That's what, and I say that to people so they can stop saying I'm going back to Africa and understand that they're in it. It's the Garden of Eden.
That's what they had in Columbus's journal that they arrived
Absolutely.
in Eden.
So what has happened is absolute lies. That's right. And the land of milk and honey is another terminology. So these things are important because as you're doing studies, and if it says the land of milk and honey, you need to know they're talking about the North American continent. If you don't know that, then you miss it. And that's part of our problem. That part of our problem is the miseducation. We have been lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to.